The story begins in a camp deep in Siberia, where hundreds of German prisoners were held. There were no guards to watch over them, yet no one dared to escape. After all, anyone who tried would never survive the bone-chilling Arctic cold for more than a few days. The place was deadly enough that every prisoner knew running meant almost certain death. But there was one soldier, a man desperate to get back to his wife and daughter. His name was Clement Farrell. One night, he finally saw his chance. He climbed into a coal cart under the cover of darkness. As the cart began to move, he looked up at the star-filled sky and felt a surge of happiness. For the first time, it seemed like fate had offered him a small glimpse of freedom. Then suddenly, the car came to a halt. Clement quietly slid out to see what was wrong, but a Soviet soldier spotted him. He was captured and thrown into a cell as a heavy downpour began outside. Still, Clement endured 3 days in that cell without food or water. Finally, the camp warden released him. The ordeal had weakened his body, but the fire of freedom still burned fiercely in his heart. "They're waiting for you," they said. When Clement reached the tunnel, he found his comrades furious, weapons in hand, waiting. His escape had left them starving for 3 days. The anger inside them was overwhelming. They blamed Clement for all their suffering. Without warning, they attacked. They beat him like an animal. Severely injured, he was taken to the camp doctor. The doctor was a prisoner too, but he was impressed by Clement's courage. He examined him carefully and realized this man's spirit had not been broken. He reminded Clement escaping the Arctic Circle was considered impossible. Every attempt had ended in death, but the doctor revealed a secret. Those who stayed were doomed anyway. Each prisoner spent their days digging in lead mines. Slowly, the lead dust seeped into their bodies. Sooner or later, death would find them all. The doctor advised Clement, "Take your chance, test your fate." He handed him his warmest clothes and boots. Softly, he said, "Staying here is death too. Trying, even if you fail, may give you a better chance." The doctor led Clement out and whispered that food had been hidden along the railway lines, just in case. He handed Clement a gun as well. In truth, the doctor had been preparing for this escape himself, but a month ago, he had learned he had cancer. Even if he ran, he wouldn't live more than a month. There was a strange calm in his eyes, as if he had accepted his fate and now wanted to give someone else a chance at life. He handed Clement his lunchbox and quietly said, "If you make it, let my family know I'm gone." That night, Clement made his move again. By morning, the warden learned of his escape and came to question the doctor. But by then, the doctor had given his life. Until his last breath, he took the secret of Clement's escape with him. Meanwhile, Clement pushed forward, facing snow and biting wind. Every step a struggle. The warden sent out squads to find him. Days passed. No trace of Clement. Everyone assumed he had frozen to death, but the warden was convinced he was alive. Search continued. 9 days into his escape, Clement felt the threat of death at every step, yet his desire for freedom kept driving him forward. A sled appeared, racing across the ice. Clement ran, heart pounding, but the sled soon caught up. He braced himself, only to wake and realize he was unharmed. It had all been a hallucination. All around him stretched a white blanket of snow, and the food he had carried was gone. Hungry and exhausted, he could barely tell reality from illusion. His heart sank. He prayed for a miracle, but in the Arctic Circle, there was nothing but ice and wind. With no other choice, he kept moving, day by day. Eventually, his body gave in. He collapsed from hunger. It felt as if nature itself was testing the last ounce of his courage. When he awoke, he heard a strange sound. His eyes caught a seal. Hope surged. He grabbed his gun, hands shaking, and fired. Not a single shot hit. The seal bolted into the icy water. Without thinking, he fired again, and finally he struck. In that moment, he felt as if fate had given him another chance to survive. Having killed the seal, Clement wrapped his legs with strips of cloth to shield himself from the cold. After a brief rest, he continued his journey. Alone. With so many days ahead, his mind teetered on the edge of sanity. He talked to himself, keeping his courage alive. Step by step, he checked his compass to stay on course. Days later, in the middle of the endless snow, he spotted a tree. Joy overwhelmed him. He ran and hugged it. After so long, seeing a tree felt like glimpsing life itself. This tree marked the end of his 2-month trek. He had finally crossed the Arctic Circle. Meanwhile, the warden refused to give up, ordering a search across a 500-kilometer area. Clement reached the forest, but suddenly, a blizzard hit. The storm was fierce, uprooting even the largest trees. As he rose to move, a massive tree crashed down near him. Luck was on his side, yet nature's challenge had once again put his life at risk. Still, his determination refused to yield. 2 men, who had come searching for gold, saved Clement's life. Together, the 3 of them pushed forward. Gradually, the weather began to improve. They improvised a small boat, planning to cross a river. For the first time in a long journey, Clement felt fate had given him companions he could rely on to survive this dangerous trek. They shared the stories of their lives until the river's current suddenly surged. Clement and Madden struggled to hold the boat steady. Sam John lost his balance and tumbled into the raging water. The swift current turned the situation deadly. Sam John's life hung by a thread. Without hesitation, Clement dove in, risking his own life. After a fierce struggle, he brought Sam John safely to shore. Madden abandoned them midway and went on alone. When he reached his hut, he assumed Sam John had drowned and stole his gold and other valuables. But moments later, Sam John and Clement arrived. Enraged at Madden's betrayal, Sam John shot him. Afterward, Sam John and Clement continued together. This incident taught them that in such a harsh journey, trust is as precious as life itself. They packed their supplies and set out again. Winter Winter came quickly, the cold making every step harder. Clement tried to ease Sam John's load by carrying his bag, but Sam John, consumed by fear and suspicion, thought Clement was stealing his gold. Under pressure and constant fear, doubt had taken root in Sam John's mind. Suddenly, he attacked Clement with a bag. Clement was knocked unconscious. When he woke, a pack of wolves was charging at him. They were pulling at his pants, trying to drag him down. Death seemed to surround him from all sides. There was no escape. In a desperate struggle, a small tree fell and blocked the wolves. Then, a barrage of gunfire erupted. All the wolves were killed. Local shepherds had come to save him. They carried Clement to their village, tended his injuries, and helped him recover. After so long, being among people again filled him with joy, and he formed lasting friendships. But the warden's notice soon arrived, and Clement realized that this fragile peace would not last. A new danger was already approaching. He reached a place where anyone sheltering him would die. Clement had no choice but to move on. Before he left, the shepherds gave him plenty of food and a hunting dog as a gift. The loyal dog became his companion on the long, perilous journey ahead. For the first time, he was not completely alone. Together, the two of them traveled for almost a year. One day, they arrived near a wooden mill. Clement's dog ran off searching for food, but the workers chased it away. Finally, back among humans, Clement thought his struggle might be over. He stepped forward, and the mill workers recognized him. The mill owner fed him and placed him on a train bound for Germany. Soon, he would be home. A wide smile spread across his face, but he didn't know. The mill owner had informed the police. The camp warden and his soldiers were waiting at the train station. Luckily, Clement spotted them early. He seized the moment and ran, but once again, it seemed as if freedom slipped just a step away from his grasp. Caught red-handed, all of Clement's hopes seemed lost. Then, suddenly, his hunting dog lunged at the warden, sinking its teeth into him viciously. Without fear, the loyal dog risked death to protect his master. Thanks to his dog's courage, Clement had another chance to escape. But then, gunshots rang out. He realized the warden had killed his companion. Clement's heart shattered. The one who had saved him was gone forever. There was no time to mourn. He ran on relentlessly. Seizing a moment, he climbed a bridge and leapt onto a passing train. Once again, he narrowly escaped death. He kept moving forward day after day. Time passed. The year was now 1952. Clement had no money, not a scrap of food. He wandered into a fair where his eyes landed on delicious food, only to be chased away by the vendor. Continuing on, he reached a pancake stand. Two girls welcomed him, but he had no money. Dejected, he moved along until a kind-hearted girl, seeing his plight, offered him a small piece of pancake. After so many years on the run, life was still a struggle, and hunger was never far behind. Clement hesitated at first, then took a pancake and ate it. For a man starving, even that tiny piece felt like a blessing. A Jewish man had witnessed it all. As Clement continued, he arrived at a church and prayed, hands folded, to God. The same Jewish man followed him, but he did not turn him over to the authorities. He saw in Clement's eyes the same pain he had felt as a prisoner during the war. Once a war prisoner himself, he understood Clement's suffering. He brought Clement into his home. There, Clement bathed and shed the worn-out, ragged version of himself. The man gave him a passport and some papers, filling Clement's heart with hope. At last, with his documents in hand, Clement crossed the Soviet border. After some questioning, he was allowed to proceed. Seeing the camp warden again made Clement's heart leap. Freedom was just a few steps away, yet fate was still testing him. He glanced back, still on Soviet soil. The warden could still arrest him. For a moment, Clement felt that all the years of hardship, the pain and struggle might end here. His heart sank. After so much effort, freedom seemed just out of reach. Then, he saw the warden step aside. Clement could hardly believe his eyes. Arrest had seemed inevitable. Slowly, he moved forward. The warden had been moved by Clement's will to survive. 7 years of a brutal journey had earned his respect. Yet, as a soldier, the warden had won. He could have ended Clement's escape at any moment. Finally, Clement crossed the border and reached home. His wife and daughter were on their way to church. He followed behind. In the church, his daughter recognized him. She ran and threw her arms around her father. After 7 years of suffering and struggle, the journey had finally reached its most emotional and peaceful conclusion. If a person, imagine the courage a human being can hold. And Clement's story teaches us this: as long as hope remains, no journey is truly impossible. If you love real, dangerous, and mind-shaking survival stories, make sure to subscribe to the HOPKART PARU channel. Here, every story will keep you on the edge, questioning, thinking, and waiting for what comes next.